I'm Heather. Sitting in Mr. Thompson's office, the air thick with tension, I feel like I've stepped into a world I never knew existed. The room is silent, save for the ticking of the clock on the wall. Mr. Thompson, our family's estate lawyer, slides a document across the desk towards me. My eyes widen as I see my name printed clearly as the primary beneficiary of the family estate, worth over $50 million. I can't believe what I'm seeing. I've always been the black sheep of the family. My older sister, Victoria, has always been the golden child, groomed to inherit everything. I've built my own career, never expecting a dime from the family fortune. So, how did I end up here? My mind drifts back to my 25th birthday. It was a lavish dinner, with all the family members gathered. The table was filled with delicious food, and the air smelled of fine wine. But beneath the surface, I could sense something was off. After dessert, Victoria stood up, holding a neatly wrapped box. With a fake smile that didn't reach her eyes, she said, "Since you've always felt a bit different, maybe this will explain why." People around the table chuckled nervously. I forced a smile and opened the box. Inside was a DNA test kit. Victoria laughed and added, "Maybe this will show you're another man's mistake." The room fell silent. My mother stared at her plate, and my father cleared his throat but said nothing. That silence hurt more than her words. I had always felt like an outsider in my own family. I had a different hair color, a different personality, and different interests. I always thought it was just in my head, but in that moment, I saw the guilt on their faces. I took the box home, telling myself it was just a cruel joke. But that night, as I sat on my bed, staring at the test kit, memories flooded back. I remembered the whispered arguments behind closed doors, the way my grandmother would stop talking when I entered the room, and the curious looks from relatives. The next morning, I ordered the test. Not because I believed Victoria, but because I needed to prove her wrong. Deep down, though, I was terrified of what I might find. Waiting for the results was torture. Every family dinner became unbearable. Victoria kept making snide comments, asking if I'd found my real roots yet. My father became distant, and my mother tried too hard to be affectionate, hugging me longer than usual. Then, one afternoon, an unfamiliar number called me. It was Mr. Thompson. His voice was formal but strained. He asked me to come to his office alone. When I asked why, he paused and said, "It concerns you." That evening, I overheard my parents arguing in the study. My father's voice was sharp. "We should have told her years ago," he said. My mother sounded panicked. "We can't. Not now. It would destroy everything." 2 days later, my DNA results arrived. My hands trembled as I opened the email. The percentages loaded slowly, line by line. At first glance, something didn't make sense. I compared my results with the ancestry information my parents had always given me. The numbers were completely off. Before I could process it all, my phone buzzed with a message from Mr. Thompson. There had been a change in the will, and my presence was urgently required. When I walked into Mr. Thompson's office, I felt like a criminal walking into a courtroom. He didn't waste time on small talk. He folded his hands and looked at me intently. "Your grandfather amended his will 6 months before he passed," he said. I was shocked. I was close to my grandfather, but I was never considered the future of the family. That role belonged to Victoria. Amended it how? I asked. He slid the document across the desk. My name was there, clear as day, as the primary beneficiary. I thought it was a mistake. "There must be some confusion," I whispered. "There isn't," he replied. "Your grandfather included a clause that would activate under specific biological confirmation." My heart skipped a beat. "The DNA test," I said slowly. He nodded. "Your grandfather requested proof before the amendment would be executed." Suddenly, everything started to make sense. The whispered arguments, the tension, Victoria's cruel gift. They weren't mocking me, they were afraid. Afraid of what? I asked. Mr. Thompson hesitated, then opened another file. Inside was an old birth record, mine. But the father's name listed wasn't the man who raised me. My breath caught in my throat. What does this mean? It means, he said carefully, that your biological father was not who you believed. And your grandfather knew. The room started to spin. If the man I called Dad wasn't my biological father, then why had everyone pretended? And why would that make me the primary heir? Mr. Thompson leaned forward. There is more. But your family insisted on being present when the full disclosure is made. Of course they did. Because whatever the truth was, it would change everything. The meeting was scheduled for Friday evening. My parents and Victoria arrived at the lawyer's office looking like a shell of the confident family I grew up with. My father avoided my eyes, my mother's hands trembled, and Victoria's face was as pale as a ghost. Mr. Thompson placed the amended will on the table and began to read. My grandfather had written a personal statement attached to it. His words were steady and deliberate. He explained that decades ago, before my mother married my father, she had an affair with his business partner. That man had saved the family fortune during a financial crisis but died unexpectedly. I was his daughter, a rightful heir. My grandfather had discovered the truth years after my birth through private records. He kept it a secret to protect the family's reputation, but he never forgot the debt he owed to my biological father. The estate, he wrote, rightfully belongs to his bloodline, and that bloodline is you. After the reading, the room was silent. My father finally spoke, his voice strained. I raised you as my own. I knew. He may not have shared my DNA, but he had shared my childhood. Victoria looked at me as if I had stolen something from her. You knew? She demanded. I shook my head. No. But you suspected, she said, her lips pressed into a thin line. The birthday gift hadn't been a joke. It was a desperate attempt to expose me before the legal clause could be activated. If I had refused the test, the amendment might have remained dormant. Mr. Thompson closed the file. Effective immediately, the estate transfers to you. The weight of it all settled on me. It wasn't just the wealth, it was the truth. I wasn't a mistake. I was the hidden legacy they tried to bury. And now, for the first time, they were the ones left without answers.